Hello there again, everybody. This is going to be Gen League number 110, again featuring Ragavan, Nimble Pilferer, the new Modern Horizons 2 card that's been taking basically every format that it's legal in by storm. Very powerful one-drop. If you can get it into play early and have it go uncontested, you'll basically win the game immediately. So Ragavan is extremely powerful in that sense, but it does get bricked later on in the game. In any kind of mid-rangey or control style, basically gridlock. So we're going to be trying to play like a Delver type strategy with the Ragavan and then do our best to support it. And in a way to support it, we're going to try to make sure that the ground is clear. So we're going to be really maximizing on all of our 1-for-1 cheap efficient removal to help make sure that the Ragavan can connect. And also all of the 1-for-1 removal is also probably just well positioned right now. Let's actually just look at the metagame breakdown right now. So the top 3 decks are all decks where spot removal is going to be very, very important. Obviously, Hammer Time to defend versus the combo. Killing the various threats out of Izzet Tempo, especially Murktide Regent, is going to be pretty important. And also versus Elementals, we're going to need to be able to kill stuff like Risen Reef, which could easily outvalue us. Past those, we've got some more combo-y creature-based decks, things like the various Living End strategies as well as the Urza's Kitchen strategies. Then we've also got a lot of Luris mid-range piles and Stoneblade piles that we're also going to have to fight against. So spot removal is looking like it's going to be pretty good. I'm going to expect to be getting 2-for-1s if I'm so heavily concentrating on 1-for-1 removal, especially if we're going to be trying to kill things that generate value when they come into play, things like Stoneforge Mystic and Murktide, for example. So we may be getting outvalued, but the key thing that I'm trying to achieve here is not dying and then using the time that we buy to pull ahead later on in the game while trying to get our feet under us early. So this is what the top 15 is looking like, and then as I just mentioned, you'll see all of the cheap interactive spells that I was talking about. We've actually even going to be sideboarding into 2 copies of Terminate on top of the 2 that are already in the deck. Murktide Regent is extremely popular right now, and I really want to be able to reliably kill it. Because Murktide will just end the game in between 1 and 2, sometimes 3 turns, usually 2 on average. So killing that thing, very important. And otherwise, the only ways we would have to deal with it in the main deck would be Terminate, Pulse, and the Lilianas. And the Lilianas don't really do it super reliably. So going to bring in Terminates for when Murktide is a problem, and then obviously they'll be fine versus things like Prowess, things like Hammer Time, stuff like that. So with that said, let's just jump right into some matches. What's up, KO? What's up, Mom? And Alex, what's up to you as well? Well, with one more land, I'd consider a keep, but 1 is looking dicey. This is much better. I think I'm going to be bottoming the Kolaghan's command here. It's just the most expensive thing. It's going to be good versus anything mid-rangey or Hammer Time related. But if we're playing against anything low to the ground, like Prowess or Murktide, Kolaghan's command's probably going to be our weakest cards. I should probably just keep 3 lands and the spells that cast them, and the spells that the lands cast. I think Kolaghan's command is just the weakest. I could bottom a land with the intention of probably finding a land at some point, and in fact that might just be correct, especially since we're on the draw. Yeah, sure. I might just want to keep all the spells. So I'll plan on turn 1 thought seizing here. Can't say I know what they're playing based off of Canyon Slew. We won't have to guess for very long. Aha! This is looking like the Jund pile that plays that 4 mana creature that like makes your planeswalkers have an additional plus in each activation. I can't remember the name off of hand, but definitely taking this Renin 6. And then they don't have anything to do on turn 3, or sorry, turn 2 that we know of, or sorry, turn 3 as well. So this might be the best window we can get to deploy a Goyf. Ooh, Ragavan. I could just cast Thoughtseize again and use Ragavan. This does a couple of things. If they've drawn a 3-drop, it's good for us because we can punch another hole in their curve. Alternatively, I could just play Tarmogoyf. But given that I don't actually have a guaranteed land drop, I kind of like going the Ragavan route. But the Thoughtseize is almost definitely going to have to take this. This is also problematic though, right? Because if I go Thoughtseize Ragavan, they're gonna have a Planeswalker to deal with my creature no matter what I do, but I still have 1 turn while I'll be able to connect with it. And then by then I can play Tarmogoyf, so if they use a whole turn killing Ragavan after it's already gotten a treasure, I'll still just have a Goyf to threaten the walker. So I think Ragavan's probably the correct play, but I can lead on Thoughtseize to be sure. Which means that this is probably going to be getting... I guess I would want this to get Overgrown Tomb because I have Liliana's in the deck, so I'd have to fetch shock first. So I'll do that. So hopefully they haven't found a 3-drop, because then this Ragavan's going to get to hit and they'll be able to threaten their Goyfs. Alright, well they found the trophy. That's A-okay. I'll let you have that. I'm just going to take a walker here. So which one would I rather you have? I guess the Vraska is more able to run away with it just because it pluses 2. So if I let it go for a turn, it can -3 again. So this one's probably just more dangerous, and I'll take that. If you want to trophy my Ragavan, sure. Deal. Oh, I thought you were trophying it. Alright, sure. Alright, so as was the plan, it looks like Ragavan's connecting. Unless they decide to trophy it, which kind of gives us the treasure anyway. Except this treasure never goes away. Say yes. I guess I'll get a mountain. Don't need a whole lot of black sources. We've already got the Liliana. Speaking of Liliana, should I just do that? So the -3 would give Goyf a -5/-5, which is not enough to kill it, but they could fetch and then be able to kill it. If they go minus with the Liliana though, I could then Kolaghan's commands to get the Goyf back and finish the Liliana. Or if I draw a land, I could finish the Liliana, get the Ragavan back, and play the Liliana. So I think I do actually like throwing this Goyf into the Liliana, because this makes their turn really scripted, and then when they follow the script, we can pull farther ahead, unless something insane happens that I haven't foreseen. You don't get why people play Assassin's Trophy? Yeah, the card is just very often bad, as it was here. I've been saying it for a while, and I know other people have been saying it too. It's not exactly a secret. The card, like, if you're casting it like turn 10 when the land drops just don't matter anymore, sure. But at that point, anything does it. Alright, so not the land we were hoping for. So I guess I'll just play the land in Kolaghan's command now. I could have them discard a card, but yeah, I feel like a definite creature out of my yard is going to be better than something random out of their hand. So it's return. I guess Ragavan may actually be the correct pick just because it has dash. It's more fragile to something like Lightning Bolt, but if they play a sorcery speed answer, something like a Liliana of the Veil, we could dash it in as opposed to just having it get edicted. Alright, didn't matter. Modern seems too low to the ground for Assassin's Trophy. Yeah, when all the spells cost 1 and 2, giving your opponent a land lets them cast an extra spell every single turn, which seems pretty bad. So this is going to be pretty telling of what they've got going. They've got a 4-mana walker here, we could be in trouble. We can't necessarily pressure it. Smallpox, wow. Not what I was expecting. I guess I'll ditch Terminate. Yeah, I'll discard that one. Did not expect Smallpox. I mean, I'll get Liliana into play, but given that they're a deck full of Planeswalkers, I think their average draw is probably better. Alright, and then I guess end step I'll get a Stomping Ground. No Prime Times and Trons. There are a couple Prime Times running around. But even versus Prime Time, I have not liked Assassin's Trophy. I still rather Terminate. Come on, deck. Darn. Alright, top deck War, but their average draw is better, but we have a Liliana in play already. Most of the threats that we care about coming from them aren't going to be creatures, they're going to be Planeswalkers. This Liliana really isn't even that insane unless I can get to ultimate. Just got another dual tapped. Can I get a Bloodbraid please? No, that's the third one in a row. I mean, they've been drawing lands too, so not the unluckiest. But yeah, their average draw has got to be so much better than mine. There we go. So if they had a land, they probably would have just played it. If they had like an Assassin's Trophy or an Abrupt Decay, they probably would have done it before the ultimate. So I really don't know what card can be in their hand other than just like a spot removal spell for a creature. This ultimate really doesn't do anything, so I'd love to plus it. But if I plus it, I have to discard the Bloodbraid. So maybe I just Bloodbraid first. The issue is if I hit another Liliana, I'm going to really wish I had used this one. So maybe I should just ultimate to Stone Rain them 3 times. Because, I mean, their walkers do cost 4, but they're only 1 land away from recasting it. I think I'm just going to go for the ultimate. Because it might slow them down a turn or 2. And like I said, their threats aren't creatures. So the minus I don't think is worth a whole lot anyway. In the event they're playing Wrenn and 6, I want their Canyon Slough to stay in play, so I'm going to put this with some better lands to entice them to keep the Canyon Slough in play. Can I take them off of double black? I can't. Not without making a 2-4 pile, which seems bad. So what if I did this? They probably keep this pile because this is the one with double black, which means they're keeping Canyon Slough. Given that I can't take them off of double black, I think keep giving them only a single red is good. So let's do that. You know, they play turn Ragavan, then turn 3 Karn. Yeah, me too. Alright, and so they kept the pile we were hoping that they would keep, which is nice. Let's hope this hits something sweet. Kolaghan's Command, that's a sweet one. So let's have you discard and then buy back Ragavan, I think. So you discard a card, return a creature. And I'm doing it this way so that way the read was they had removal. I'm hoping to get out of their hand before my creatures enter play. And it was an Inquisition. I guess that makes some sense too. Should I dash this? I guess it may just be worth dashing it. I've got all of the mana in the world now. This makes me softer to more Inquisitions off of the top, but I'd rather just get the damage in now. Okay. So, Jund, Walkers, I think. Terminate seems bad versus Jund, Walkers. They play lots of fetching effects, so maybe I want the Ashioks. Void Mirrors seem like they're going to be pretty bad. Spellbomb has some play versus only Ren and 6, but like nothing else in my sideboard seems very exciting. And then along the lines of they're playing mostly Planeswalkers as threats, these pushes don't seem like they're going to be doing a lot. That might just be it. I guess Brutality has some merit, maybe even over Fatal Push. If they're playing literally no creatures, this could at least arrest them. It seems kind of loose. Like the odds they're playing like some number of Goyfs, Ragavans, Voidwalkers, it seems reasonable. So I think maybe keeping 2 pushes is fine. If we don't see any threats, like actual no creatures in game 2, then maybe I take them out. Maybe Collect Reef is a threat. I don't think we're light on threats. Yuck. I mean, versus a mid-range matchup, I really don't like mulliganing, but this hand has no creatures, which seems relevant to threaten their various planeswalkers. I'm unhappy about it, but on the draw, I think it makes sense to keep. All right, still no creature. I guess I'm just gonna get the Spellbomb down. I'm not playing Voidwalker in the deck, so I could just Forest on 1, and then still be able to cast everything on turn 2. But if I'm in a fetch shock anyway, I might as well get out of the way early. So let's just do that now. If they're playing like a no search effect like an Ashiok, I think I'd rather get my fetches out of the way. So if they like fetch, play Ren and 6, I might just pop the Spellbomb to eat the fetch. Oh boy. Ragavan, no second land. Alright, well we can bolt that. For sure gonna bolt it. Is there any reason to wait? I don't want shenanigans to happen. Let's just do it now. And then this will probably get Overrun Tomb. If they like dash now the Ragavan, what I fetch here is gonna be awkward. Because I want to get second black, but I have the Stomping Ground in hand. Interesting. Alright, so I think I'm actually just gonna keep the Bolt in hand and then use the Liliana to Edict the Ragavan. Like I said, I don't think they're playing many creatures, so getting the Edict off of the Liliana when I can, I think is gonna be good. So let's go to Overgrown Tomb here. Then I can Forest, cast Liliana, Edict, and I mean, they could have Veil of Summer, which is something I'm worried about. But I'm not going to play around it when the ceiling on this play is so high. And like, if they do have, they're probably still incentivized to attack the Liliana anyway. So if they've got it, it's unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Like, we've got backup ways to kill this thing. Oh, this is perfectly acceptable as well. Deal. Ren and 6. They do have that fetch. They've been missing land drops. If they target this fetch, which they will, I think I'm just going to pop it to continue denying them. I mean, me not drawing a card, but denying them drawing a card is basically drawing a card. And then, if I want, I could both dash this Ragavan and bolt the Ren and 6 in order to kill the Ren and 6. And given that my hand is Ren and 6 Bob, I think that's something I am just actually interested in. So let's just say yes. Not the best allocation of resources, but I think this is what has to be done. Like, casting Liliana here just doesn't seem like it's gonna achieve a whole lot. Let's just get this thing dead. I mean, I don't think I'm very ahead. Like, they could easily just play a 3 or 4 mana walker and I can be behind. So they took Ragavan. That could easily mean they've got a removal spell, they just didn't have 2 removal spells, so the Bob isn't super safe. Ideally, I draw like an untapped land so I can just empty my hand. This is interesting. If they only have 1 removal spell now, maybe we can stick and keep the Bob. I can't double spell with Inquisition and the Liliana anyway. The ceiling on getting the Bob to work is really high, so I think I'm gonna work towards that. Oof. So they do have 2 answers. But smallpox isn't even an answer they're wanting to cast right now because they're so behind on land, they'd have to just sacrifice a land. So between taking the Liliana and the smallpox, I think I'm just going to take the Liliana. If they want to trophy me, again, I'm just like completely fine with that. If they find the land and can Liliana my Bob, it's a pretty big disaster. And I don't mind them casting Raven's Crime on my Liliana. That doesn't really seem like it's going to matter. Sure. Alright, Bob going off. We had Ashiok. Yeah, I'm just going to slam that. They're behind on lands. The odds that they draw a land that's a fetch land are fairly high. This also takes away their Raven's Crime. I'm going to mill myself because I could actually find a Croxa, which I don't. So Ashiok was the one that we had revealed, so they don't know about Pulse, which was a good draw because if they do find a Walker, we can take care of it. They drew a fetch. Nice. Bob continues to go off. Like, they're not even wanting to cast their trophy on a Bob. How insane is that? Alright, let's go to attack, see if that evokes a trophy. Alright, and then they are playing bolts, and I want to keep the Ashiok around, which would force them to use the trophy on it, which means they're not trophying my other stuff. So I'm not going to activate it, even though I would like to dig for a Croxa. But I think just having the known value of the Ashiok is greater. Uh-huh. So their hand is Pox plus an unknown plus a draw step. I mean, if there's a sweeper that they have access to, that could be a way we start falling behind. They would need a land and a sweeper, which would leave them over with smallpox, which is an answer to the next thing. So a sweeper is definitely a way that we could begin to fall behind. Loam the Mire. Okay. That's interesting. That's definitely a smallpox combo. So Tarmogoyf is a 6/7 right now. That kills over the course of 2 turns. I think I'm just going to sacrifice the Bob. Because while resources do matter, there's only 1 card in their hand that we don't know about. And if it's not answered to Goyf, they just die immediately. And that also denies them a dredge on the loam. Yeah, so sacrifice. Choose a creature to sacrifice it. I'll sack the Bob. Say goodbye to the forest. Yeah, I mean, they're just dead in a single turn. Push, not particularly useful. Alright, so if they find an answer exactly now, we could lose a top deck war. They took Loam back? Oh no, they discarded this. Alright, we're up. Nice. So Ragavan was not amazing that match, but it did provide a must-answer threat, which, you know, gave us time to kill with our other threats. So it did its job, just being menacing on its own. Yep, this is a keeper. I could lead on a discard spell in hopes to lead to clear the way for the Ragavan, but it's probably just better to slam the Ragavan and hope, because if it connects, then we just start pulling ahead so quickly, especially while on the play. So let's cross our fingers here. Another argument to just leading on a discard spell is we can't actually cast both discard spells next turn. Oh hey, it's Tron. Ooh, and a fetch land is nice because that can enable us to get the Renin 6 going. Let's connect first, because this could influence the decision on whether I Inquisition or Thoughtseize here. We hit a Reality Smasher. Alright, so it's Eldrazi Tron. That makes the hit on Inquisition a lot more likely, but if they play a Chalice of the Void next turn, I may want to be able to get something with the Thoughtseize. I guess having hit the fetch, I could always Inquisition now, and then if I really need to Thoughtseize, I still can. And they do have the Chalice. They've also got another Smasher, a Thought Knot, and a Tower. They got 2 towers. Interesting. Definitely going to take the... it's actually not a definite. I spoke too soon. These two options right here are both things that I'm interested in taking. The Kroxa that I have may be able to outsize the Reality Smasher and the Thought Knot Seer as long as I get it down before they're able to Thought Knot Seer. They can chalice me next turn, but do I even care about that? I mean, I do want this Thoughtseize resolving. So maybe what I do is I take the Matter Reshaper, cast Thoughtseize, and then just ignore the Chalice, and then just plan on hopefully not drawing any more 1-mana things. I think that's fine, because like, the cards I have in my hand can very easily go the distance on their own. So I think that's the plan. And to preserve the treasure, I think I am willing to take some life here. I could get basic Swamp, but then my green is fairly taxed. Let's just get a Tomb. And then if you want a Chalice next turn instead of popping Map, I think I'm okay with that. And then I'll take the Smasher, and then plan on Croxing next turn. And I could also Renin 6 as well, given that I'm accumulating treasure. So here's their hands. There's the second tower. There's the Chalice. So their hand is Reality Smasher and Thought Knot Seer. But we've already got the Ragavan in play. Alright, let's connect. See if we hit anything we'd be interested in casting. We hit a Saga. Urza Saga. Interesting. Alright, well, like I said, I think I want to get this Kroxa down. So that way if they draw like Eldrazi Temple, they can't snipe it. They discarded an Eldrazi Temple. So what was in their hand that I mistracked? I took the Reality Smasher. So their hand is only Thought Knots here. So I guess this means I should just play the Renin 6 now. So if they find the land, they don't just take it for free. Alright, I think we are ahead, but not by much. This just might get Temple to set up for next turn. Yep. So their hand is Thought Knot Seer something. Bolt gets countered by Chalice, unfortunately. But I think I will be bolting just to feed the Kroxa that's in the yard. Let's attack, see if I hit anything worth casting. Funny to note, if I hit something like a Reality Smasher or Matter Reshaper, I can't actually make the colorless to cast it. Power Plant got hit. I mean, I guess I continue looping this with the Renin 6. It's funny. I may actually want to not get it back with Run and 6 because if I draw another fetch land, I'm going to need both in the yard in order to escape the Croxa. So I think I'm just actually going to just like start going downstairs with this. Start going down with this, really. I don't think an ultimate's ever going to matter. They're not playing anything like lightning bolts of their own. So yeah, I'm just straight going to not going to fetch and buy it back. Here comes the Thought Knot, right? And I do want this to be in my yard as opposed to exiled, so even though this gets countered, I'll cast it. And it's funny too, is I actually do get to attack with their Ragavan, and if they don't block, if they do block, Ragavan's the last card that's going to let me escape the Croxa. And then if they don't block, I've obviously just connected again, which is also pretty good. Oof, that is short of. Actually, no, it's not because I could use a treasure to cast the Croxa. They don't know that though, so I guess I could just attack first. Although if I draw something like a Terminate, I could just have an insane turn. So maybe I just lead on that. But if I don't show them that I can put a card in the yard, they're not likely to block. So, given that Ragavan's going to be blanked moving forward, I think I'm just going to lead on the attack. Sure. Alright. Yeah, it's a good block from them. So let's just escape. And I like not putting the Peelin in the yard, escaping it, because then we get to keep it around for looping with Ren and 6. So I'm still not upset that Ragavan dies here. What's up, James? Monkeys have been fine. They've done their job pretty much as intended every time. And then I think I will actually sacrifice this here so that I can immediately buy it back. And there's the Terminate. Alright, so it's looking like we're going to have a pretty good turn lined up, short of something insane. Ragavan did well this game. It didn't even, like, we didn't even cast any of the cards off of it. It was just a nice one-mana play that we were able to play a kind of Delver strategy with, and that was good. Push does nothing. I guess we just lead on Terminate and see what we draw. Nice. So, Stream Decker is actually not working at the moment. So, like, the actual bot is down, so I'll go ahead and just copy and paste the link. But we're playing against Eldrazi-tron, so Plague Engineer, Ancient Grudge, Terminate, and I guess Void Mirror as well, right? Alright, so let me just copy and paste this real fast. I'll do my best impression of the bot. Here we go. That's the deck. I don't know why it's not working. Collector Oof might be interesting as well if they're bringing in something like Relic, but that seems about like the only thing that this would have a use against. It doesn't do anything versus stuff like Chalice, for example. Pushes kill only Thought Knot Seers and Matter Reshapers, which isn't great. Run and 6s kill actual nothing though. Given that I'm bringing in so many Terminates, I think I like going down on push. I like the bolts to some degree as well because they do kill Karns, which are a big problem. Although it does concede a multi for one. What else? I guess on the draw, I don't like Dark Confidant versus. They're probably bringing in Warping Whale. They've also got things like Dismember and Walking Ballista, all of which are good versus Bob. When Dismember really isn't even that good versus this deck, but it does give it a good target. So I think on the draw, Shaving Bob is probably fine. And then the discard spells are going to be pretty weak, especially on the draw. But still probably important for nailing something like a Chalice if it comes up. Let's do this. I hope I haven't gone too threat light here. I mean, I only cut the Bob. Oof. One more land and I think this would be a consideration, but our hand's pretty expensive. Fatal Push isn't even that good. If something happens to Ragavan, we do have a backup. But even if I spike the second land, we aren't doing anything particularly impressive. This is better. I'll just bottom a land. Push again, not something I'm super excited about, but Croxa is probably one of the better threats we have access to, and we've got Pulse for literally anything. This kind of hand can almost definitely get run over, so we'll have to be careful. The mulligan to 4. That's promising. They went Temple on 1. So I'm going to play Meyer on 1. Liliana was a good draw. Because if they have Temple into another Thought-Knot Seer, I can Revolt and push. I guess it would have to be off of a Blood Crypt. Matter Shaper is something I am less excited about pushing. But I think I might just have to do it. Reason being is Liliana performs its best on an empty board, which means that this thing is going to have to die at some point sooner or later, so I guess that time will be now. Yeah, I'll get Blood Crypt. Say yes. So yeah, I'm not excited about killing this, but it does make the Liliana better. They've got Dismember now. Alright, this looks like a turn to cast Croxa. There's not really much else to do. There goes the Dismember. Alright, they didn't have a Thought-Knot Seer. So my guess would be that we've got a Reality Smasher in the future. And then casting a Liliana into a Reality Smasher is not what I'm super excited about. But given the opponent is so low on resources, it doesn't even seem that bad, right? Because we could Liliana plus, and then on the turn following, even if they Smasher, that gives us a window to escape the Croxa, which just outsizes it anyway. And then we really want to get this in play sooner rather than later, because then we can threaten a Planeswalker without having to spew our Maelstrom Pulse. So given that I do want Croaks in play by next turn anyway, I think I'm just gonna Liliana into their Smasher. They might not have it, which would be the ideal case, but I would not at all be surprised to see it. So I guess what's gonna happen here is I can Nurturing Peatland, discard Overgrown Tomb. I'm going to keep the Mire because I need the card to go to the yard for the Croxa. And I want to keep the Peatland because I can exchange it for a card later. So, buy Tomb. And if they have the Smasher, I'll be sad, but not even that much. They didn't Ballista here? That's strange to me. They're just saving up for a bigger one. Alright, they've got the Tron. Tron into map. Interesting. This might be the turn that I have to... This might be the turn that I have to Croxa anyway, because this could get Scavenger Grounds, which would neutralize the Croxa. So this is looking like my last window anyway. So I guess now I'm just discarding Maelstrom Pulse. I could discard the Ancient Grudge, but whatever I discard here is getting swept away when I escape the Croxa. So I guess I'd rather keep the card around, keep the Ancient Grudge around. Although, this in the yard, keeping this in hand means it can kill 2 artifacts, but since they're drawing off of the top anyway, it seems unlikely that's going to matter. So if they find something like a Planeswalker off the top, the Pulse might actually be better. So I think I'm actually going to forfeit the Ancient Grudge here. So plus, discard the Grudge, play the Mire, fetch, get a basic. We've got 3 black. I guess I get another red. It kind of doesn't matter. And then cast a Croxa. This could get Blast Zone, but our Croxa is going to get a hit or 2 in by the time Blast Zone can pop off. And even then, maybe we can eventually get Croxa back down the line. But yeah, if I don't do this here, they would definitely just scavenger grounds me, right? So I guess their discard of Ballista meant that they knew they had their out to Tron, and they're identifying that they're just gonna have to kind of get lucky off of the top to win this game. So there's the blast zone that we knew about. They didn't draw a banger, which is nice. We drew a banger, which is nice. I do want to plus the Liliana because that gets me up to ultimate next turn, which means I guess I am just discarding the pulse now. Because I'm definitely casting this Bloodbraid here. We hit Ragavan. That's a good one. That's a good one because it's a threat at 1 mana that isn't going to get swept by the Blast Zone when they inevitably have to crack it on the Kroxa. They have so much to deal with now. The way that we lose this now is all is dust. They're just killing Ragavan. That's interesting. Alright, so we need to fade All is Dust, which they can cast. I mean, even if they cast it, we are 1 card off of re-escaping Kroxa, which they would then effectively have to immediately answer again. So, no All is Dust, please. Sick. 2-0. Here's the deck. So Eldrazi Tron, I think, is traditionally a slightly below average matchup, but having access to a bunch of Terminates is nice. Yeah, I like that emote. It's a good one. It's funny too, right? Because like Voidmere counters actual everything out of them because they don't play forests, right? Like regular Tron. This has got to be the ultimate FU to them right there. Let's go first. Me and Fanny Pack. I like that name. We are on the play with the Ragavan. I feel like it would be illegal to mulligan. They revealed Luris. So, I mean, if they don't have a removal spell on one, like, if they just have discard on one, maybe this Ragavan can start going away with it. We don't have any removal of our own outside of the Liliana, so that would probably be what their discard targets, if they've got discard. Surprise. Alright, and they did mulligan once. Come on. Come on. There we go. Hammer time. This has got to be hammer time. Well, Ragavan looking a lot weaker now. Inquisition. Not a bad draw, honestly. I might just spend 2 mana on an Inquisition here. I think I'm going to attack first, and if they trade with either, I'm honestly kind of happy. Like, Ragavan is not getting through, so let's just trade it if we can, and then if they want to let it connect, I'm also happy with that. Alright, and then I think what we're doing here is casting. I mean, while we're under no pressure, it could be correct to just cast the Tarmogoyf. If I Inquisition here and take another threat, then Liliana can maybe Edict onto an empty board, though, and that seems like it could be really good. I think I want to take the stance of a pure control deck before deploying threats of my own. So I'm just going to deny resources as aggressively as I can. Stoneforge, Paladin, Inkmoth Saga. So this is a pretty good hand. This is an artifact, which contributes to Paladin. I think I want to take away their route to Sword, but they have so many routes to Sword such that maybe it's just better to take the Paladin. But I think the true tiebreaker here is they actually don't have another white source, so Stoneforge is the only thing we know they can cast. So hopefully I get to Liliana onto an empty board here. Dark Confidant is quite powerful. They're gonna draw a card if I cast the Liliana here, but I don't have a much stronger move, and I really want to start killing their stuff before their artifact count really adds up. So I think here I'm getting second red for sure, and I guess more black or more green. So Stomping Ground, yeah, Stomping Ground seems good. Say yes, I'll be going to 15 here. You're gonna get to draw a card off of this, but I'll get to kill it. Alright, I mean, this is one of the matchups that incentivized me to put a bunch of extra Fatal Pushes and bolts in the deck. And then sideboard terminates as well. Alright, so it looks like they're intending on just activating this a bunch of times. Ren 6 was an interesting draw. That means I can both play Ren 6 and deploy a threat. Goifa's going to do a good job of defending my Liliana versus the Saga, so it's looking like I'll be able to Edict again next turn. So what I think the plan is here is Ren 6, buy back a land, play Tarmogoyf, and then the discard decision becomes between Dark Confidant and Bloodbraid. I think I'm actually going to keep the Dark Confidant because I value the interaction a lot more than I value a clock, especially while I'm already going to have a clock. So I'm going to plus first so the opponent discards with the least info. Ditch the Bloodbraid. Discarded another Inkmoth. Alright, so Ren 6. Buy back a Verdant. Play a Verdant. Get basic Swamp. Cast a Tarmogoyf going to 13. That's my turn. I think that was a solid turn. I'm gonna have to be careful of the value that the Urza Saga produces. I don't think they're getting a hammer now. I think what they might get is the 1 mana artifact that like gives trample and lifelink that I can't remember the name of offhand. But assuming this Liliana stays at 2, I'm gonna cash in an Edict as soon as I can. Thank you. Let me know if you can hear me eating, because I know it sounds disgusting. Paladin. Okay, so they did actually find the route to hammer with that white source. They're short an artifact. Oh no, they have 3. They'd have to activate the Inkmoth. That works too. So their hand is 1 unknown. So this attack makes a lot of sense. I have to make the obvious block, which is not die. But we do just die next turn if we can't kill this Paladin, because they can equip up the Inkmoth. And they also have like the lethal threat on the ground too. So I'm thinking we're dead. I mean, we could sacrifice Peatland, see if that gets me anywhere. If I can kill this jump block for a turn, maybe I can get something going, but it's a long shot. That ain't gonna do it. So now if I buy back Peatland and sacrifice it, I only have 1 mana to work with, which means I'm still dead. So I am dead. We've got some good sideboard cards though. So Ashiok is going to stop all the Urza Saga, Stoneforge Mystic, and whatever the 1 mana sorcery tutor is. It'll be good versus those. Plague Engineer is obviously going to be excellent. Terminate, just more 1-for-1 removal. Collector Oof will stop the equips, because like with the Pure Steel Paladin, it gives the equipment the ability, so Collector Oof will actually stop that. Spellbomb is going to be good versus the Lurrus plan. Definitely bringing an Ancient Grudge. So, what are the takeouts? I think if I'm taking out threats, which I want to do, it's just going to be Bloodbraid. I think all of this removal is just strictly better than Liliana. I still would like to get these spell bombs in here. I'm not going to go down any more threats because I've already taken out 3. I mean, just about everything else in the deck seems pretty reasonable. I think I want to keep the Pulse because it's going to be good versus Urza Saga stuff. So really, it's a question of which 4 cards are the worst here. I would like to keep the spell bombs, but I may not be able to afford it. Maybe it's just discard spells. Like, discard spells are good early, but when we're trying to draw anything in the late game, discard can be really dead. We're saying Ragavan's not great, they go up the board. I agree with that, but I said that having taken out 3 Bloodbraid Elves, I'm not really wanting to go much lower on threats. Because if I take out Ragavan, I'm pretty much relying on only Tarmogoyf. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna take out 2 more Inquisitions. Rely on the retroactive stuff as opposed to the proactive stuff. Be more tempo neutral. Stands fine. We've got Ragavan on 1, and if they play an X1, we have the Renin 6 get out of the way so the Ragavan can hopefully connect. We're missing removal. Other than the Renin 6, obviously. The Stream Decker deck list, for whatever reason, just isn't working. So what I can do is copy paste the deck list and hope that works. So they had Prismatic Ending into Midnight. Okay. Alright, well, Kolaghan's Command's a good one. This turn looks like a pretty easy stomping ground into Renin 6 minus targeting your creature. And then next turn we can either kill another thing or buy back the Verdant. But Kolaghan's Command was pretty excellent. Sanctifier. Okay, that's a problem. Not many answers to that. It's going to make Kroxa look a lot weaker, too. The only thing that's going to be able to reliably push through that is, like, what, a Tarmogoyf? Took the Liliana's out as well, which would have been a way to maybe deal with that. Not great. Let's buy this back for sure. I could cast the Kroxa now, but I think I want to save this until later when they have fewer options to discard. Although, holding up the Kolaghan's Command now isn't really going to be achieving a whole lot when there's not even anything to guarantee kill with it. So maybe now is just the time to Kroxa. So let's just do it. And then, because of the Sanctifier, Krosa's going to get swept away. Saga's a problem. Stoneforge is a problem. We can kill it. There's a hammer. Surprise, surprise. Yikes. So what I could do here is sacrifice the Peatland and then buy it back. That puts down Kolaghan's command for a turn. But I'm going to really want to wait for the Kolaghan's command until I can get two things anyway. So I think I like sacrificing the Peatland just so I can buy it back. And then really hope I find the spell that I can cast off of this. That's castable. And then do I just do it now? I can't target this anyway, so I kind of like doing it now. Before they have the ability to activate. Jeez, that's a lot of lands. I'll play the Peatland so that if I don't use the Kolaghan's command for whatever reason, I could sacrifice it. Yeah, this Urza Saga is going to kind of give us the hands. Not a whole lot of resources to work with, unfortunately. So what I may be forced to do is kill these constructs here, which I can do because I can shatter one and do two to the other, which is a 3/3, but when the other one goes away, it'll get smaller. So if they cast a hammer here or something, I think I have to kill these constructs. These things are just going to be clocking me for the most. Yeah, and unfortunately I do not have Liliana in the deck. Ancient Grudge was a good one. Yeah, I guess I'll go Verdant Pass. Not looking good. Not many ways I have to deal with this, unfortunately. Maelstrom Pulse doesn't do it because it's a black spell. We'll kill the Shadow Spear. That's gonna get swept away. Yeah, and even if we somehow climbed back into all this, they still just have Luris kind of hanging out, so this is looking like a lost cause. Yep. More hammers. Okay. Is it too late, though? This can kill the Stoneforge. It's not great. This is actually something that holds back the Sanctifier, funny enough. They're still gonna get to just make some Urza Saga tokens, though. What are the impressions of Monkey? It's fine. It's not overly impressive, but it's just been a fine threat. I mean, one mana must kill is gonna be good, right? So if I let this trigger resolve before like bolting the construct, what happens? So they're gonna make another one, which makes this a 2/2, and this goes away. It'll be a 3/3. If they activate this with the bolt on the stack, it'll be a 4/4. My bolt will no longer work. Yeah, I guess I'll just zap it now. I've got 3 in this list. Here's the deck list. Hammer number 3. Jeez. I just can't catch a break. So their hand is just hammer, hammer, 2 unknowns, lure us into the companion zone. Alright, so this gets stopped though. It says equipment you control have 0. So this still stops the ability. The Paladin still cantripping is nice. Yeah, I'll take the 3. Kind of need my oof. Which is an oof. Not that it particularly mattered. I mean, we're live to, I guess, Plague Engineer. Plague Engineer wouldn't even be that insane, though. It would just be fine. That's definitely too late. They just attack all. If we chump, we take 6. Yeah, we're dead. I could bluff removal, but if I had removal, I would have used it at many points before this. So I just don't even think it's a very effective bluff. Alright, we're 2-1. Yeah, we did flood. I think I placed every resource I had correctly, but I could have made a mistake. I don't actually know. I think we didn't draw very many action spells though, right? I think of our 8 or 9 draw steps that game, I think like 7 or at least 7 of them were land, which was unfortunate. Well, given that we're not playing Hearthstone, I will mulligan. Yes. This forest is going to look really bad if we're trying to escape the Kroxa here. If we're playing against an aggro deck or a Blood Moon deck, the forest is going to look good. But I mean, given that we know we have Kroxa, I think I'm just going to bottom the forest. I think if I'm on the play, I may bottom the Bloodbraid because we'd only have 2 lands. Verdant. So I guess it could still be something along the lines of Ponza. It could still be a Blood Moon deck. We have access to the basic swamp should we need it. I won't do that now, though, because if we find a Renin 6, I want to be able to cast it, and we can't do that off of a Swamp. So it looks like I'm just going to shock Overgrown Tomb and cast Inquisition, unless my draw step changes something. Oh. Well, that falls under the category of maybe changing something. It's definitely rough. There's a lot that could severely punish us. I think I'm still just going to lead on the Inquisition. There's just way too much that punishes the Ragavan here. Like, if they've got Renin 6, for example, then we could just die on the spot. Thoughts on the possible return of Scavenging Ooze with all the Delirium and their general graveyard decks? I think Scavenging Ooze is just too slow, to be honest, even versus their graveyard decks. Ooh, so it's something sweet. Their hand is real good versus us, unfortunately. Well, you don't want to take the Bone Crusher. Although Bone Crusher does answer the Ragavan. Stomp does not answer Tarmogoyf. Like, I could maybe just let them have the Skelemental if I'm okay discarding some number of cards. It doesn't come down for a couple turns anyway. The thing is, if I don't take the Bone Crusher, I can't play the Ragavan. But I'm thinking I'm probably going to want to Goyf anyway, the way that their hand is set up. So, given that I'm probably Goyfing, I'm going to need to outgrind these companies somehow, which means I can't be discarding 2 cards to this Elemental. I'll just take that. Yeah, this deck list seems sweet so far. So they've got Stomp available. Alright, let's cast a Tarmogoyf off of Blood Crypt. For sure want first red, and I need to set up to ensure I've got double black for the Liliana that I just drew. So here's the Tarmogoyf. Yeah, Endurance is the new ooze. In lists like this, it's hard to play Endurance too, because there just aren't enough green cards to support it, I think. Like, it's pretty much only Renin 6 and Tarmogoyf. Shock the Stomping Ground and have cast a Bone Crusher. Alright. Shock the Blood Crypt, my bad. So their hand is Company. Pretty good versus me. Land? Nice. Alright, so Liliana is not going to get much better after Companies. So let's just get this out of the way now and get an attack in. Hopefully try to get them on some kind of back foot. Company is great from behind. But it's a lot worse for me if they cast Company while they're ahead. They're just gonna do it now. I mean, I guess. I don't know if they've got anything like haste related. I guess we'll find out. Brick. You see a grist off of it? That is legal. There it is. This is a nice little combo here. Make a crappy elemental, sack it to a grist. So we would really like to hit an untapped land, and then we would really like our Bloodbraid to hit something to get Pyromancer out of the way so we can connect with the grist. Damn. Well, I mean, at a minimum, this is going to take their other copy of Collected Company. So we can actually make them discard their entire hand here. by casting Kroxa and Thoughtseize and plussing the Liliana, ditching the Ragavan. So I need to Liliana last, so that way they don't keep like a land in hand. Or I need a Thoughtseize just not. I need just to not Thoughtseize last because they keep a land in hand for whatever reason. Grist, Company, Kroxa. Jeez. Well, they've got Forest, which doesn't escape the Kroxa, so there's a hope. So I guess what I do is it actually just doesn't matter what order I do it in, right? There are no lands in hand to give the Kroxa the bonus, so it just literally doesn't matter. Like what order I do this in. Yeah. Like I agree with that insect. Like it is a liability. Like any fragile play, you runs the risk of falling behind. But I mean, sometimes you just can't afford to risk losing the time. Well, that escapes Kroxa, which kills us. Yeah, we're dead to the Kroxa. We're just dead to it. Like, even if we, like, hit the land, cast Get into way to deal with the Kroxa, we can't even Edict out of the way to attack the Grist, so it's like... Our best case scenario involves getting very lucky and then still being extremely behind to a Grist. Alright, so Spell Bomb looks good. Plague Engineer looks good. It deals with the various Grist shenanigans, and we can also name Elemental to make sure that we can't get smacked by a Lightning Skelemental. Brutality seems like it kills most of the things in their deck, as well as being an out to sniping a Collected Company from the hand. So that could be good. What's up, Ian? So versus a what is effectively a mid-range deck, I like cutting all of the Inquisitions. I'll keep the Thoughtseizes because at a minimum those can hit the Collected Company. Is there any reason to want to Ashiok? We did see Kroxa from the opponent, and they do play a good number of fetches, so this might just be annoying enough while we're on the play. Especially if we can power it out on turn 2. So I would like to make room for the Ashiok. I don't know what would make that room. It might just be the Lilianas. Honestly, Liliana is not that good versus Collected Company. Sure. We've got a 2-3-4 curve. Yeah. Nothing to do on 1 is unfortunate. This will get Blood Crypt. Uh-oh. Can we draw a Renin 6? 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 Damn. One can argue that it's also sweet when we have removed all removals in their hand on threats on the field, even using its dash ability, but at the point it would be better Tarmogoyf for Kroxa, or in general something bigger. Yeah, I mean, I think Ragavan is always going to be good, almost always going to be good on the first couple of turns, and then significantly weaker after that. This is looking bad. I mean, if they block with the insect, we could then Liliana Edict the Ignoble. Kolaghan's Command is an interesting draw. Now if they don't block, we can Kolaghan's Command to finish it off, which is nice. They've discarded an Endurance. Alright, so either way, this is going to be a fine turn. They do block. Okay. Alright, so then this looks like Liliana Edict. Try to slow them down mana-wise. Hopefully make this Bloodbraid better. Goyf still just a measly 2-3. Jeez, it's a lot of land. Well, I guess I'll lead on a plus and ditch a Verdant. Seems pretty straightforward. There's a Pyromancer. So, I guess I'm casting a Bloodbraid. In the event they make me discard a card, I'm going to want to discard the Verdant, so I'll play the Peatland. Come on, deck. Sure. I'll kill the one that makes mana. And then attack the Grist. What do I think about playing Luris in the main deck? It could be good. I think if we want to really maximize how good Luris is, we kind of by default want to play other things. For example, Mishra's Bauble, and there just isn't a whole lot of room in the deck for a card that is only good, or I guess is only maximized when you're playing exactly the Luris. So I mean, it could just be good as a 1 or 2 of, because it casts most of the threats in the deck. So yeah, I could see it being reasonable. Mill Croxa, but the forest hopefully going to slow them down in terms of escaping. I know land is interesting. Ooh, Spellbomb's a good one. So, I definitely want to get this Grist dead. This might be one of the better uses for Kolaghan's Command, is just get the insect out of the way, but assuming this Bloodbraid dies, I'm going to want the Kolaghan's Command to get the Bloodbraid back. That seems like a lot of value. So what happens if I just attack both creatures at the Grist? Either one kills the Grist as is, but if they have removal and just block the other one, I'm back in the same spot as last time, which I don't think I want to allow happen. So what I might just do is cash in the Liliana now, because there's no way I have them discard something meaningful at the moment while they have so many cards in hand, and then while they play creatures, Liliana can't get much better. So before I cast a spell and walk into a Veil of Summer, let's cash this in, and then just make sure we get this Grist dead. Like, if you want a Veil of Summer here, I could always respond to the Kolaghan's command. And then again, I would like to avoid getting blown out by a single removal spell, so I think I'm going to attack both at the Grist. I could go both at the opponent, but then again, if they've got a removal spell, I don't even hit them for a significant amount, and then I'm still facing down a Grist. So I'm going to do my best to get Grist dead here, and then work from there. Endurance. Yeah, sure. So I guess that can eat the Bloodbraid. Do we still get to kill the Grist? We don't, actually. I guess if I Kolaghan's command, we still will. So let's see how they block. Because if they try to kill the Goyf here and they cast an instant, that could punish them. They should for sure block the Bloodbraid. Right. Okay. So now I guess I do 2 damage to the Endurance before damage. That way the Goyf grows and can kill the Grist. And then what's the other mode? I guess you discard a card. And then I can Spellbomb and sweep the yard. So you'll discard, shock the Endurance. And again, I have to do this before damage so the Goyf grows. So we'll at least trade here. They discard a Company. Wow. So are they just like Company flooded or something? Here is a land. And then here's a spell bomb. And then I don't actually have to pop this now, because even if they find the land, Forest is going to mean they can't escape Kroxa, unless they draw a filter land, in which case I'll be punished. Dash a Monkey. That's going to connect. You think Bone Crusher is the only removal they play? Given their Company deck, I don't doubt it. Alright, so this is going to connect, which I'm not super excited about. But they're unlikely to be able to cast what they hit. Kroxa? I mean, if you cast a Kroxa, it'll go to my yard. Unfortunately, this means we won't have access to our Kroxa. Just going straight to end step. Yep, and then I'll sacrifice the Spell Bomb now, because now that they're accumulating treasure, they are getting to the point where they can start activating their stuff in the yard. Save some life here. Bolt's a good one. Unfortunately, I can't kill the Ragavan quite yet. Goyf still plenty big. Big draw step. I guess that's fine. Sacrifice this, see what we find. Another land. Get in for 4. Yep, I mean, we could still fall behind to a Company. And they did discard a Company, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just had more. We can continue getting the first couple of things out of the way. I guess something that I could have maybe done is the turn when they were blocking with the Endurance, I could have just let damage happen, shocked the Grist, and then returned to the Bloodbraid. Which would have had me having another Bloodbraid, but then they would have had that one random card in hand, which was a Company. So, I mean, in hindsight, I think I did the wrong thing, but in foresight, I think I did the right thing. James says, done quite a bit of testing with Ignoble. And it can be excellent. Very good versus decks like humans, where being able to cast multiple spells is excellent. Tried Ragavan early, but not sure which card is correct. Well, Ignoble is going to be better in that its intended purpose of adding mana is going to happen no matter what, right? Like, in a board stall, nothing bad's going to happen. Because you don't need to connect for it to work, is what I'm trying to say. Alright, this is a really annoying hit, because it's going to take forever to punch through this. We got a Plague Engineer? Hey, that's pretty good. I'm going to do it first. Ask and you shall receive. There goes my one time for the night. Yeah, they can grist off of Coco, because grist is a creature. In every zone but the battlefield. But yeah, this was a good draw because it really makes it so that they don't have just infinite time. The 3 cards they have are fresh because they cycled off of the Pyromancer and took a draw step. Yep. So, thankfully, this isn't going to make a token if they discard a spell. They do. This would have come in as a 5-0 thanks to the engineer. 5-0s don't stick around for very long, turns out. Unearth Ragavan. Yep. So I think I'm going to wait on pushing, because that could affect how they block. And if I find something like a Bloodbraid, I've got all of the mana that I can eat anyway. That said, Bloodbraid? There's 2 in the deck remaining. So Ignoble is more consistent, can even help versus decks like Tron. I have liked the card, not sure if it's correct for Jund, but I suppose it dies to the same as Baba Monkey. Yeah, like they're susceptible to the same things. One works more reliably in Ignoble Hierarch, but the other one has a much higher ceiling in Ragavan. Alright, so I'm not attacking with Engineer, right? Just slam with the Goyf. And then I guess Veil of Summer is something they could have in the deck. What is this? Oh, another Endurance. Does this shrink the Goyf? I guess we'll just wait and see. They're gonna get rid of. Actually, they still have instant sorcery creature land, so Goyf should still be plenty big. But if they try to go for some weird combination of block, maybe I can blow it out with a Fatal Push. It's an elemental. Thank you, Plague Engineer. They're just taking the hit. Yep. And I'm not going to play around Veil of Summer because I want them to make an aggressive attack, so that way maybe I can kill them on the backswing. Like, if they were to attack all, for example, I could just, like, push the Ragavan, take 4, then have 6 on the backswing. But if they just attack like this, I'll push the Ragavan. Because I do want to keep the Plague Engineer around, but I also don't want to get hit by this thing. I'll take my 2. And then hope that the card that they drew isn't something silly. Alright, well, if it's not a company, it's probably a land. Big draw step. Bad draw step. If I attack both, they just trade, and then they'll have... This will be away, so they can then activate Pyromancer again. So this looks like just an attack with Goyf. Hope they haven't drawn a company. But yeah, this draw step was a big miss. We needed, like, pretty much anything to to continue trying to be ahead. But if they found like the company here, we're almost definitely just dead. All right, well it wasn't a company, so maybe it was a land. Pyromancer is a draw too. Yep. Brutal. We need to continue to get a little bit lucky. I'm gonna leave the Mire in play. If I find a push, I may need it to enable a revolt. Also, the life might just matter. Jeez. I have not been drawing super hot in the top deck ores, unfortunately. I mean, they've got a pretty much equal number of lands than I do, so it's not like I'm getting drastically more unlucky than they are. But my cards just haven't been super high impact. Like, all of their cards are, like, really high value when they enter, or value generating. Alright, well that's annoying. Gonna have to find an answer to that immediately. Can you escape it too? Jeez, they can escape it too. So now I can't fetch, right? Because if I find a way to kill this Croxa here... If I find a way to kill the Croxa here, and they just re-escape it, I would go to 1. I would go to 0 if I fetch, so I can't fetch. So I'm on find an answer to Croxa right now, or bust. Jeez, just more land. Alright, we're dead. A lot of lands. Again, they had lands too, but we drew them all in a row at the end. Yeah, it was Fatal Push or Terminate were the only two. I guess Bloodbraid would have been like the absolute best case into one of those, but that's dreaming land. That sounds good. Gemstone Caverns. So probably a Cascade deck. This hand is set up to take the first couple of Cascade spells, assuming that's what this is. Oh, it's a mono red something. Well, if they Chalice on our next turn, it's gonna suck. So I guess I take the Chalice now, but then they'll just Ritual into a Blood Moon. So it's like, which hate piece do I care more about? And I guess it's the Blood Moon. So I'll take that, because we can get the basics, but we're gonna have to wait a turn. So I'll take the Moon. So this is just all in mono red prison, I would assume. Although they have Luca in the deck, so I'd be interested to see what creatures they have. There's the Chalice. Inquisition no longer does anything. We have the Kolaghan's Command to maybe blow it up. So we'll see. In the event that they Blood Moon me next turn, I think I need to have basic Swamp, because that casts all of my black spells. I don't have anything green that I have to worry about right now. So I'm going to get basic Swamp, use that to cast Dark Confidant, and then next turn I'll plan on getting basic Forest and probably just using Kolaghan's Command. Yikes. It's a good draw. Okay. So this turn is looking like Kolagon's command, probably Shattered Chalice, Buyback Bob, but we're soft-ish to threats past this Bone Crusher. We have the Bolt for the Bone Crusher, but I actually want to terminate the Bone Crusher so I can maybe use the Bolt on Luca. So this might be they only have things that cost 3 in the deck, so that way they can like flip an Emrakul or something. So they can ritual into Luca if they're interested. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So they hit Pyromancer, Magus, Mountain. So basic forest, plays around the moon, Kolagon's command. I could just shock the Luca, which means that if they attempt for a minus on the Bone Crusher next turn, I can kill it. But I can always disrupt the combo with just bolting the Bone Crusher. So I think I'm just going to shock the Chalice, return the Bob. Because I need to unlock the Bolt. So I have to kill the Chalice. So return a creature, destroy an artifact. So we'll return this, destroy that. Paying the requisite red. So I can Inquisition and do everything, so maybe I just should. Inquisition's not getting much better past this turn anyway, so if it's another Bone Crusher, this is good. If it's another Moon, sure. And I guess I could get basic Mountain, or I could just get basic Swamp now. Sure. They're pretty much out of moons, and this maybe telegraphs that I've got the red spell, so maybe this is bad. But I mean, my life total could come up as it relates to a Bone Crusher plan. They can still cast the Magus and the Pyromancer. Yep. So let's hope they go for a minus. So this breaks that up. But they could also just go for it next turn as well, which we'll have to use the Terminate to defend against. We revealed a Croxa. Not the worst. Guess I'll cast it. That's going to be a way to close quickly, which we were lacking. There goes the Pyretic Ritual. Alright, go for the attack on Luca. This way, if they go for the minus again, it'll at least die. And we revealed the Croxa, so they don't know about the Fatal Push. So they may just go for it. Although, if I escape the Croxa next turn, my removal is going to be down. So if they don't go for it here, and then they try to threaten going for it next turn, I may not be able to go for the Croxa. End step, I'll get another red source and more green, so Stomping Ground. But I may need the Revolt to defend versus combo, so we'll see. They drew a Bone Crusher again. Brutal. Alright, they mill some garbage. Alright, I would love to be able to get the fetch now. The issue is I can't I don't have the time to play the Kroxa or else I just die. I guess if I draw a black or red source, that's fine, but in the event I draw a Shockland, I need to keep the Mire around, so I'll still be able to revolt the push. That doesn't do it. This would have been a real good turn to get the Kroxa in. But I can't while not letting them just kill me. Next turn I can go for it, now that I've hit a land. And then if they go for a combo here, I need to use the Terminate, so that way next turn I can have the Fatal Push while Kroxa-ing. I can't cast Kroxa or Terminate off of Basic Forest. Peasy, yep. Discarding a Luca. Gonna go for it again. Nope, just exiling some cards. Bone Crusher and a Pyromancer, jeez. Yeah, this Luca, remember, you can still cast the spells off of the Luca. Have to keep this uncracked again because of the Kroxa and needing to enable Revolt. Alright, but now is the window. So hopefully this comes up the ground. Hopefully. Here goes a ritual, sure. And we can still Enslave versus combo. We would have to fetch Shock and Overgrown Tomb to do it. But I'll do it if it means not dying. I may need to just like aggressively use my removal spells, just get all this crap out of the way so I can kill the Luca. Because as long as this Luca survives, they've got like 7 cards in hand. And by 7 I mean 3, but that's a lot more than I have. They have 6 cards right now. It was 3 in exile via Luca, 1 on adventure, 2 in hand. What's up, Nick? How's it going? Okay. You got a job. Sick. Congratulations. Where are you at? Duke Health Department, sick. Sounds exciting. There's the moon. Have they used the Luca yet this turn? Have they used the Luca yet this turn? Turn 8. Cast Ritual, cast Pyromancer, puts triggered abilities from Pyromancer on the stack, draws 2 cards, plays Mountain, casts Blood Moon. So there's no way around it. Alright, I guess I just let it happen. Because if I just let it happen, if I like fetch shock flow to black, they just go to the second main. So yeah, I think I did everything that I could. I think. A little late on that. Yeah, we're dead. Luca kind of took it over. They didn't even cast creatures off of it, which is wild. Alright, engineer for elemental. Ashiok is cute. Like, you could maybe exile the Emrakul, but that seems bad. They might have more than one, which makes it even worse. They do have Chalice, so Grudge could be a way to get out from under that. Everything else doesn't seem very effective, though. Terminate would be another way to defend versus getting comboed, but we've got tons of ways to do that. I think I'm going to cut the Liliana. The Lilianas, or at least 3 of them. Versus the seasoned Pyromancers, they just seem pretty bad. Let's do that. Pays pretty well, that's exciting. Get those adult paychecks. They're nice. How I've been doing? Pretty good, pretty good. Nothing to really complain about, except maybe this hand. This is way too many fatal pushes. We've got the turn 1 Ragavan though, and we've got a Kolaghan's command. They're not playing any lightning bolts, or at least they're probably not because of Chalice. Let's see if turn 1 Ragavan is good enough. That's the experiment here. It's a way to get some colors out of under a blood moon. Bob's a good draw, assuming we don't find something we want to cast off of the Ragavan. We hit Magus. Not casting that, no thanks. Bob is nice though. They have a stomp, they can't kill both. Basically limited constructed. Yeah, what is it? That might be cool. Alright, so ideally they just don't have stomp, but if they do, they can't kill both. They just scoop. Sure. Well, I guess Ragavan on turn 1 was good enough. In that case, in that scenario. Any changes to be made? I don't think so. This Liliana is really unexciting though. Is there actual anything I can replace it with? They don't have any artifacts that do anything other than Chalice, obviously, but this doesn't do anything versus that. Spellbomb cantrips. There's nothing. I guess like Pyromancer out of the yard could interact in that on that axis. I mean, it seems better than a Liliana, to be honest. Sure. Curiosity is the name. Well, I am in fact curious. So this hand is really slow. We've got access to all of our colors from under a blood moon. They have mulliganed. I mean, we've got pressure for a Luca. We can also kill a Luca. This hand seems good. I mean, it's got the two main things that we want to see. Insulation versus the prison pieces, and ways to threaten their combo. While also having access to a threat. So if they have like Ritual into Moon, we could be in trouble. In the event they do have that, do I prefer to have a forest or a swamp? We've got one green spell, one black spell, one that's both. I guess I would most need the Bob to dig out from under it, which means swamp is more important. Also, most of my spells are black anyway. So I guess that means I'm going to basic swamp, cast my spell bomb before they get the chalice out and I can't cast it anymore. I guess I got the grudge for it. For a chalice, if they chalice. Let's just hope for no ritual in the moon, because we could just get cheesed. Okay. We are live. Inquisition. Well, we're not... That Inquisition isn't live. So let's just get basic forest. I don't actually have red mana yet. I assume I'm going to get there. And that Blood Moon is more of an immediate problem. So I'm going to cast the Bob. This is going to require a Stomp, but a Stomp would have actually killed the Goyf too, as long as I'm willing to... As long as I'm not willing to just like pop the Spell Bomb for no value. If I find a red source, I might just grudge the Chalice and then cast Inquisition immediately. Who knows? But I would like to apply additional pressure. So like if this is a moon, I don't particularly care. That's scary. 4-drop? What is it, like a Chandra? Chandra would be bad. Chalice on 2. Well, I got Maelstrom Pulse. So that's probably what I'm going to use it on. Just do it right now. That pulse was a 3-for-1 because they used a ritual, which is funny. Yeah, Pulse is life. I've been skeptical of Pulse in the past, but there are a lot of decks where Pulse is kind of just required. Like versus Urza Saga, it tends to be pretty good. Versus the Cascade into Rhino's deck, it tends to be pretty good. Another Bob, you say? So I could end up bricking on my Inquisitions. So I think I'm going to use Thoughtseize here to guarantee that I hit something. And then if I see something that I want to take with an Inquisition, I can. Otherwise, I could just cast the Tarmogoyf. It's just Magus and Rabblemaster. Well, I'm going to take the Rabblemaster. The question is, do I even care about the Magus? Like, the Magus is, like, kind of helping me at this point, because it would give me the red mana that I'm missing. They're going to be able to Bone Crusher me. So the question is, do I care more about getting Goyf rolling or Bob rolling? If I want to start being the beatdown, I think the plan is obviously Goyf. But if I want to start drawing cards, I guess it's start Confidant. I do want to start drawing cards, so I think it's Bob time. Scavenger Grounds also makes the Tarmogoyf proposition a little bit more risky. If you want to cast a 2/2 that helps me, sure. Though I think they'll more likely just cast a Bone Crusher. Sure. Sure. Okay, so we get to get the stream of cards flowing, hopefully. We reveal the Lightning Bolt, which does not kill anything as long as we don't have red mana. I mean, Goyf is going to outsize it pretty healthily, though. We'll just have to be careful of the Scavenger Grounds. So now, am I casting Inquisition to take the Magus? I don't think so. Another thing that I could do is I could just activate the Spell Bomb now. Although Spell Bomb is something I could put into the yard after Scavenger Grounds resolves to try to regrow the Tarmogoyf. Also, I could just intend on using the Spellbomb Revolt to enable the Fatal Push that way. I kind of want to just do that now. I would go to 9 off of it with the Bob in play, but the opponent doesn't have a whole lot of burn in their deck, so as long as this Bob isn't ridiculously dirty to me, should just be fine. And then I guess if I find a red source now, I'm going to want to play it, so let's just pop Spellbomb now. Say yes. Just another push. Do I want the Bone Crusher to be exiled as well? In the event that Bob leaves the yard, I'm going to want another creature in their yard. So with the exile on the stack, let's kill this. Go to 9. Sweep the Bone Crusher away as well. Attack for 2. Alright, I feel in control, barring Bob just absolutely wrecking us. And I think they play like pretty much no burn. Yeah, they're just not playing the Magus because they've identified that it like actively helps us. We've revealed a Tarmogoyf. We drew a land, but it was a swamp. Alright, well, I'll cast an Inquisition, and then I guess I'll play a swamp. Ritual lets them cast their 5 mana stuff, so I guess I'll just take that. Because again, their Magus is kind of helping me. This will maybe entice them to pop the Scavenger Grounds, so that Goyf doesn't connect for a big hit. Yeah, but if they pop their Scavenger Grounds, they're even farther away from their 5 mana play. But I mean, Luca isn't even that good while it doesn't add to the board and we have 2 creatures in play. Alright. So again, as long as Bob isn't ridiculously mean to us, we're fine. But again, we could also just push our own Bob should we need to. There's the red source. Now if they pop Scavenger Grounds, I might just sacrifice after the fact and then bolt them to make the Goyf 2 power again. So I'll let this resolve. Then I'll add a lands to the yard, making it basic mountain so I can add a bolt to the yard, targeting the face. Hit for 4, put you to 7. And then I could Inquisition now, just so Magus can't even be a blocker. And now that I have the red mana, I think it's probably actually correct to do so. Am I afraid of a sweeper of any kind, or do I just play another Goyf? I really don't foresee the opponent having a sweeper, especially on 4 mana in mono red. And now there's like nothing that kills us short of us flipping a 3 or a 4 and them somehow playing a lightning bolt. That's a good draw. I mean, if they find like a 2-drop and a land, I'm assuming they don't have 1s because of Chalice in the deck. They did find a 2-drop, wow. Oh, that's a Chalice though, it does nothing. So, can we kill them here? I believe we can. So, if I Ancient Grudge the Chalice, I can then sacrifice the Nurturing Peatland to enable the Revolt. So, looks good. Bam. You're saying just terminate Spiral? Yeah, I mean, it all works. Yeah, we just needed to kill the thing. Alright, so we finished off at a 3-2. The 2 losses were to Hammer Time and to something in round 4. Anyone remember what the loss was in round 4? I guess while I remember the loss to Hammer Time, we could just talk about that. So, one of the reasons I have so many low curve interactive spells in Fatal Push and Bolt and 2 Terminate, even more Terminate in the board, is because I was really worried about things like Hammer Time And as it turns out, I think in both of the games versus Hammer Times, we didn't make it to a game 3. In both of the games versus Hammer Time, we actually, I think, saw a combined one-man removal spell and no two-mana removal spells. So we were a bit slow in that regard. But even in game 2, I don't even think it would have been. I don't even think it would have been a winnable game because they had the Sanctifier end deck, and I had taken out the Lilianas, so we were really soft to just their 2-mana 2/2 protection from most of our deck. Like the only way we can interact with it, the way I had sideboarded, was in combat with either a Tarmogoyf or a Collector Oof. So I did put myself pretty soft to that specific sideboard card. But even game 1, we had some good grinding power early in the game, but then I think we ended up flooding out pretty much towards the end of both of those games. So having not as many resources definitely hurt. But even had we had slightly better draws, I think the Hammer Time deck probably would have just gotten there anyway because Urza Saga is just so powerful, and they saw multiple copies both games. Yes, thank you for the reminder. The other loss was to Jund Unearth Company, and they're just like obviously a Value Town Company deck where everything is aiming to be a two for one or a 3 for 1. So I mean, while we're attempting to 1 for 1 all of their multi for 1s, we're just naturally going to fall behind on resources. So I think I have to be the beatdown in that matchup, and that's what I attempted to do. And I think game 3, because I think we got to a game 3 there. Maybe it was game 2 where I employed the strategy of, I think I played a Goy for a Bob early and then just really tried to play on the front foot and hoped that they wouldn't draw out of a slight stumble on mana, but they eventually did. So I mean, I think the strategy of being the aggressor was correct when I identified that I wasn't beating an attrition game going mid to late. So I think I was supposed to be the beatdown in that matchup, and it just ended up not working out this time around. So I guess not talking about the losses, we can talk about the continued experiment, which is Ragavan Nimble Pilferer. It's continued to be just fine. It hasn't been completely outstanding. It's been nice in the way that it is a lightning rod. It's a must kill threat, which is gonna hopefully clear the way for your other must kill threats, things like Dark Confidant and Tarmogoyf. There aren't as many must-kill threats in this deck as there are in, say, other decks that also play things like Luris, Voidwalker, etc. So maybe Ragavan not at its maximum power level here, because while it is good as a standalone, I feel like its power level is kind of discreetly hidden in that when the opponent must kill the Ragavan, it's harder to kill the things that follow it. So I like the value that it generates in that regard. But again, even as a standalone, it seems to be perfectly fine. One of the original reasons I was skeptical about the Ragavan is that while I never denied its power, I think that it tends to be pretty excellent only in the early turns, but then in the mid to late game it can really get bricked. And we saw that occur multiple times in Justice League. So I'm still of the opinion that in situations where we are trying to, on average, on the higher side of average, be the beatdown deck in whatever given matchup, Ragavan's going to be good. But if we're needing to take a more controlling stance, or even a more grindy stance versus something like a controller or a mid-range deck, then Ragavan is just going to get bricked in the late game. And while it's going to be good early and which makes it really hard to take out, it's going to be dead relatively late. But again, even if you're in a top deck war and it's relatively late, and you're at parity where it's just lands versus lands, then Ragavan could be excellent again. So it's not even a foregone conclusion that it's dead past turn 4 or 5. It's still going to have some merit in specific situations that are hard to predict. So that's my piece on that. I'm just going to have to continue trying it out with other configurations in the shell around it and see how I can get its power level to be maximized, because it is definitely powerful, and the stronger we can get it, the stronger it'll be, obviously. So that's going to be it for this recording. If you're watching it on YouTube, thanks for sticking around up to this point. I really appreciate the support. If you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, you definitely should. It's a great free way to support what I do. All of my videos, including this one, get posted to the YouTube channel, which if you're watching this on YouTube, you obviously know by now. But anyway, if you're watching here on Twitch, definitely head over to my YouTube channel. The channel is linked to my Twitch page as well as listed on below my fat head right here. So again, free subscriptions over on YouTube, and I would really appreciate your support. So that's going to be it for the recording, and if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for tuning in, and until next time, have a good one, and Jun them out.